Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 3. We'll present the results of our discussion on flood mitigation as water resource management, a case study of floods in Trenggalek district. First, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Sofia Rina Dula Napsari and my friends.
My name is Siti Konita Arfangor.
My name is Clara Monica.
And my name is Valencia Ivanil Sajika Kusmadias.
Before we discuss this further, this study has 5 discussions, outlines. There is an introduction, theory, methodology, discussion, and conclusion. First of all, there is a background. Floods are the most frequent disaster in Indonesia. National Disaster Management Agency, or usually called BNPB, data recorded an average of 913 floods per year from 2008 to 2024, reaching over 1,800 in 2021. Trenggalek Regency is vulnerable to flooding in the lowlands with the Ngasinan and Grower River basins often overflowing during the rainy season. The impact of flooding in Trenggalek disrupts community activities, damages public facilities, and threatens the safety of residents every year. The urgency of flood mitigation is that a comprehensive mitigation strategy is needed, including analysis of threats, vulnerabilities, and community capacity to reduce disaster risk and maintain sustainable development in Trenggalek. Secondly, a problem identification. For the first one, the Ngasinan Tawing and Trenggalek rivers frequently overflow during heavy rains due to limited flow capacity, sedimentation, and land conversion. The urban drainage system is not yet integrated, causing backwaters and flooding in residential areas. Third, river maintenance and normalization are not routine, and many are blocked by sediment and wild vegetation. The Trenggalek Regency government, in collaboration with the Regional Disaster Management Agency, or usually called BPBD, is cleaning the drainage system as an emergency measure. Flooding is not solely caused by natural factors, but also by limited infrastructure, weak environmental management, and the pressures of human activity. If left unchecked, economic, social, and environmental loss will increase. Mitigation is needed. River normalization, flood control infrastructure, land use management, and increase public awareness. And the goal is to reduce flood risk, protect communities, and ensure sustainable development. For the problem formulation, there is a 5 is factors causing flooding in Trenggalek City, existing flood-prone areas in Trenggalek City, levels of flood threat vulnerability and capacity in Trenggalek City, 4 flood risk assessment in Trenggalek City, and the last one is flood mitigation strategies that can be effectively implemented in Trenggalek City. There's a theory that we use in this study. For the first one about flood, BNPB 2012, flooding is a condition where an area is inundated due to high rainfall, limited river capacity, watershed morphology, or surface runoff that exceeds the drainage capacity. Flood mitigation concept based on law number 24 of 2007, mitigation is divided into 2 types, namely structural mitigation and non-structural mitigation. Third, flood mitigation guidelines based on law number 24 of 2007. Fourth, disaster risk assessment. Disaster risk assessment is a process to determine the level of danger and potential loss to may occur due to a disaster by taking into account the interaction between threats or hazards, vulnerability, and capacity. Factors causing floods. The causes of flooding can be classified into primary natural factors such as high rainfall, limited river capacity, etc. For the last one, regulatory framework and policy, flood mitigation in Indonesia has clear legal basis, such as Law Number 24 as 2007 about concerning disaster management serve as the primary reference of disaster management including flooding. Furthermore, other policies such as Law Number 7 of 2004 and the last one about regional spatial planning, or usually called RTRW, also govern flood management. There is a research location which can be seen in the image on the screen, which is more precisely in Trenggalek Regency, and the data collection technique. There is a two is secondary data and primary data. For secondary data, Trenggalek Regency National Disaster Management Agency, or usually called BPBD, National Disaster Management Agency, or DEMNAS, data for BIG atau Badan Informasi Geospasial, vulnerability data from Trenggalek Regency Statistic Agency, or BPS, Badan Pusat Statistik, and village profiles in Trenggalek District. And the second, primary data, field survey using questionnaires to assess community capacity. Population in Trenggalek District, there is 23,000 households. Sample based on the Cohen, Manion, and K table, a sample of 270 respondents can be drawn from a population between 20,000 and 30,000 with a 90% confidence level. For next, will be my friends to explain.
And next it's about mind map, fluid mapping analysis techniques. It is indexed by Geomorphics Flux Index. The mapping of vulnerability analysis, it is calculates by the equations on the vulnerability, which are additional every variable of vulnerability score, which multiply to every value score of every vulnerability aspects. And then the capacity mapping analysis techniques, it is figured by Pentagon asset and cons in the class intervals, which is have equations maximum failure it is with minimal value and then divided by number 3. And then it is equations about analysis risks, which are L multiply with V and C. And then the research analysis frameworks, it is about min mapping from by input, process, and outputs.
Next, we continue to discussion. The first point is existing flood conditions. In 2022 and 2025, Trenggalek Regency experienced major flooding due to heavy rainfall, which caused rivers to overflow, inundating dozens of villages, damaging infrastructure, and disrupting access to main roads and public facilities. The second point is social conditions of society. Flooding in Trenggalek Regency forced hundreds of residents to evacuate to evacuation centers. The situation disrupted social activities such as work and school, adding to the psychological and social burden on the victims. The next one is legislative study. Some examples of national or regional regulation are Disaster Management Law Number 24, 2007, Regulation of the Head of the National Disaster Management Agency or BNPB Number 2, 2012, concerning general guidelines for disaster risk assessment. Next, Law on Water Resources, Law Number 70, 2019, Special Planning Law Number 26, 2007, and then Regional Regulation Number 23 of 2011 concerning disaster management. Next, problem solution. There are three solutions to the problem of reducing the risk of flooding. The first point is risk-based spatial management. Use the hazard, vulnerability, and capacity maps from the GFI modeling for development zoning. Restrict development in high-risk areas, especially for dense settlements. Designate high-risk areas as green open spaces, infiltration zones, or buffer zones. Objective to reduce the exposure of people and assets to flooding. The second point is community capacity building, SLF. Disaster preparedness training and community education, expansion of educational access and skills development, livelihood diversification to reduce dependence on a single sector, economic support, access to capital, savings, and business credit. Objective to strengthen the community socio-economic resilience in the post-disaster period. The next one is infrastructure strengthening and technical mitigation systems. Build levees, increase river capacity, and improve irrigation networks. Expand and maintain the early warning system. Implement flood-resistant construction planning for vital infrastructure like roads, bridges, healthcare facilities, and then apply a combination of structural and non-structural strategies to reduce flood risk and impacts. Next, we continue to threat of flood disaster. As you can see on the slide, here are some maps in flood disaster analysis. The first map is flood event maps. Flood event maps are used for calibrating the GFI model for EQGIS. Affected location Ngares, Rejowinangun, Sambirejo, Sumberdadi, Ngantru, Tamanan, Kelutan. Largest flood extents Tamanan 108.42 hectares, Kelutan 80.99 hectares. Main cause overflow of the Ngasinan River. The second map is Dam with elevation range 91 to 805 meters above sea level, with data resolution 30 meters and main function baseline for flood hazard modeling. And then flow direction map describes the runoff direction toward water bodies and river flows in Trenggalek district. Factors influencing flow direction are slope gradient and elevation. Next, we continue to flow accumulation map. High values equal large runoff, volume flowing into water bodies. Analysis result, highest accumulation occurs in the Ngasinan rivers. According to the spatial plan, river overflow is caused by excessive flow accumulation, and the problem becomes more complex in urban areas. Limited infiltration space and dense community activities make high flood risk. And then the last one is flood hazard map. High hazard along the Ngasinan River and Bagong River, Kelutan, Ngantru, Tamanan. Moderate hazard Munjungan, Dongko, Pogalan. Vulnerable to rain runoff. Low hazard western and southern hills. High elevation and good infiltration. Main factors: hydrological conditions and land use around the rivers.
Next.
And the next, it is vulnerability analysis. From vulnerability in the Trenggalek district, it is valid based on the building density, built-up areas, flood conditions, and number of health and education facilities. From the fund research, it is concluded that the highest vulnerability it is found in the Sabel Gedong, Ngantu, and Kelutan. Efforts in special use regulations, civil institutional developments, and maintenance of essential facilities are required to reduce flood impacts in high vulnerability areas. And then, social vulnerability. The social vulnerability value is founded in the Stamanan, Sembegedongs, and Dawuhan. It is influenced by high population density as well as a large proportions of vulnerable groups and persons with disabilities. Equitable populations distributions and residential area planning in locations with lower flood risks are needed to reduce the exposures of vulnerable groups. And the next, it is about the economic vulnerability. The economic vulnerability is located at Ngares, Sukosari, Sumberdadi, Dawuhan, and Klutan village due to large number of poor residents and dependence on agricultural sector. These conditions cause the post-disaster recovery to take longer due to community financial limitations. And the next, it is environmental vulnerability. The environmental vulnerability that's very high. It is located at Dawuhan, Ngares, Sumberdadi, and Ngantu. Due to technically forest areas and to combat other villages. West forest management is required to prevent environmental degradations and reduce fluids caused by increased water runoff due to downstream areas.
Okay, right now I'm gonna explain about flood vulnerability map, which in here explains about the degree of vulnerability. Flood vulnerability is in Trenggalek district is dominated by low to medium levels, with high vulnerability found in Kelutan Urban Village, Sumbergedong Urban Village, and Dauhan Village. Areas with high vulnerability should be designed as low density zones such as green open spaces or vegetative cover to reduce flood risk. Next. And about flood capacity analysis, the first one is we're talking environmental resources. Natural resources in Trenggalek district are widely utilized for agriculture, particularly in Sambirajo village, Sokasari village, and Surodakan urban village, which fall under the high utilization category. The community's dependence on agricultural land makes them economically vulnerable when floods occur, as it can lead to crop failures. Therefore, wetland and forest management through collaborative schemes such as community-based forest management, PHBM, is needed to ensure sustainability and prevent environmental degradation. And about human resources in Trenggalek district differ across villages. Ngares, Parakan, and Sumberdadi are considered low because because of limited education, which leads to higher poverty. More disaster training and small business development are needed so that people are better prepared for floods, and the welfare gap between villages and the town can be reduced. Next. Now about flood capacity analysis still, which includes capitals, and first one is physical in Trenggalek district. Physical capital includes irrigation networks, motor vehicles, communication tools, and early warning systems. These help people prepare for floods. The infrastructure should be well maintained and used effectively to support mobility, share information, and strengthen disaster resilience, especially in flood-prone areas. Economically, the economic capital of communities in Trenggalek district is mostly at a low to medium level, with villages such as Dauhan, Ngares, Parakan, Sukasari, and Sumberdadi being the most financially vulnerable. This condition makes post-disaster recovery harder in rural areas, so increasing economic opportunities and side jobs is important to reduce vulnerability. Social or community capital. Social capital in Trenggalek district can be seen in communal activities such as community cleanups, the Nyadran ritual, and village cleansing traditions, which strengthen relationships among residents. Sambirajo villages has the highest social capital, while Ngantru and Sumbergedong urban villages are lower, so greater community participation is needed to improve disaster resilience. Next. And this explains the capacity map with the degree and the pentagon asset, and here explain the capacity. And next. And here are the data of flood disaster risk assessment. The first data is about low risk. Explain the previous map, which 492 hectare is in low risk, and 775 in moderate, and 1,403 is in high risk. And the mitigation guidelines, the first one is plain zones based on flood risk, manage current and use, limit building in high risk areas, and guideline use based on risk level. For the high risk, there are villages and urban villages, which is Dauhan, Ngares, Parakan, Sukasari, Sumbergedong, Ngantru, Tamanan, and Kelutan. Sumbergedong and Kelutan, all areas are classified as high risk, and the highest risk we got is Kelutan, which got 243 and 7.7 hectares, and low and moderate risk. There are 8 villages. Largest area in Sambirajo village requires flood resistant construction, and low risk is Karangsuko, Sambirajo, Rajowinangun, Sorodakan. They need suitable for settlements. Next. And here are the flood risk map. Now about disaster mitigation guidelines. The first one is risk-based spatial planning. First one, we have to use hazard vulnerability and capacity maps, which is GFI, as the basis for zoning. Kelutan and Sumbergedong not suitable for dense housing, resign land use, green open spaces, water infiltration, conservation, and the goal is to reduce exposure of assets and population, maintain ecological functions, and strengthening community capacity program. The first program is disaster training, evacuation drills, early warning system education, focus on low capacity village, which is Dauhan, Ngares, Parakan, Sukasari, and Sumberdadi, and strengthen human, social, and economic resources, which is community becomes more prepared and resilient. Apply zero-delta control runoff caused by urbanization, and thirdly, infrastructure and data management, which is MSDAT. Technically, river dredging, we live construction, irrigation improvement, and apply trap strategy, store, infiltrate, channel, and maintain an ecological watershed and forest rehabilitation, increase water infiltration, critical infrastructure, which is roads, bridges, hospitals designed with flood-resistant construction, and we have to integrate structural and non-structural approaches for sustainable outcomes. Next. And the conclusion is Trenggalek Regency has a high level of flood hazard due to combination of natural factors, which is high rainfall, lowland topography, river sedimentation, and human factors such as land use change, poor drainage system, settlement development along riverbanks. Around 30.89% of Trenggalek district is classified as a high flood hazard area spread across almost the entire district except Sumerdadi village. Medium hazard covers 12.09% of the area, while low hazard accounts for only 0.27%. The vulnerability in Trenggalek is generally at medium and low levels, while high vulnerability is concentrated in Dauhan, Sumber Gedong, and Kelutan Urban Village. Community capacity in Trenggalek varies with low capacity in Ngares, Sumberdadi, Sukasari, and Dauhan, and high capacity in Ngantru and Sorodakan Urban Village, as well as Sambirejo. In Trenggalek district, 56.74% of the area is flood-free, while the highest risk is found in Dauhan, Ngares, Parakan, Sukasari, Ngantru, Sumber Gedong, Kelutan, and Tamanan. Low risk for only 7.98% is Karangsuko, Rejo Winangun, Sambirejo, Sorodakan, while medium risk reaches 12.56%. Flood mitigation efforts require an integrated approach: structural, levee, rigor dredging, retention ponds, and non-structural spatial planning, community education, early warning system, and forest conservation. Next. In here are our recommendation, which new residential development should be directed to low risk area, while high risk zone should be designated as green open spaces, water infiltration area, and conservation zones. Strengthening infrastructure such as river normalization, levee construction, check dams, and irrigation network improvements should be prioritized in areas with high flood hazards. Integrated disaster management by local government must incorporate flood mitigation into the regional special plan (RTRW) and the regional disaster management plan, which is RBBD. Community capacity building programs, including disaster training, evacuation drills, and strengthening flood preparedness group, need to be enhanced, especially in villages with low capacity. Thank you for your time, Mr. Rooney. We've come to the end of our group projects. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.